and do communications.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome to the December 18th meeting of the Waterboro Planning Board. Well, we don't have any appointments tonight. What we're doing is working on a few projects that we've had going on for several months at least. The first of which is site plan review. Did you want to read this in first? Or?
Do you want to handle that under communications? Want to just jump to that? There's extra copies for the board members. It's an email that came in this morning. What Tim is passing around to the board is a communication from Mark Alder, Patco, Patterson Companies. And the sum and substance of it is that because of a heavy construction schedule, they've deterred the building of the storage units, and they wanted to ask the board, or at least inform the board, that their anticipated schedule would be in 2015 based on their current workload. One of the initial intents was to use Waterboro to keep their crews busy. This is as reported by Patco. And,
so that's a 2-year extension they're asking for.
Well, we're
about
on
a year and
14,
a half.
so
We
Yeah,
really
but we
don't have a
approved it last-
sunset clause
It's
currently.
site plan and they've never gotten their building permit, so
Yeah.
the site plan's still good.
There isn't any sunset clause right now, so
As it
Yeah.
stands now.
we have no power over this, really.
No, and I think it was they realized that too, that there's not a sunset clause currently.
So this is just a courtesy.
It's a courtesy because we get the questions on occasion in Tina's office and my office. What's the status of the project?
Yeah.
And given that we're working with the town administrator and the 2020 committee on a future land use plan, we have to incorporate that as one of the future land uses in that area. So I just want everybody to be aware of it. So as a courtesy, if the board wishes, I could just respond back with a letter that the board has reviewed and accepted, and there's not too much else I can say.
I think as a sign of good faith, they should clear those buildings off
I
that
was
lot.
just going to suggest
That was one of
I'll
the
go with
reasons,
that.
so we went with that,
Sure.
was that it was going to improve the appearance
That's
of
what
that
I was
area.
thinking. Yeah.
We don't have any teeth in it, just I think it would be a
Sort of as a gentleman
good community thing to
request.
do.
absolutely.
All we're doing
Clean
is
up.
shooting ourselves in the
Yes.
foot by doing that, because it's just not enough to tax the buildings. Whatever the town of Waterboro is collecting in taxes on those buildings, as much as they run down, it's still tax revenue for the
Really?
town.
Yeah, there may be some tax
You get
revenue.
taxed.
We'd have to check with
I have to check
I
on
don't know what the tax revenue is on that property, but
That's
I'd rather
pretty
see the
sad,
tax revenue
but,
come in for 2 years.
They're so dilapidated, that's hard to believe, but
Well, it has to have some kind of revenue.
Yeah.
I don't know what that revenue is.
It's more than just a land.
I guess
No,
the
it's
board
more
has
just
to
the land, it's
weigh
the building.
minimal revenue versus aesthetics and
All right.
cleaning up the property area.
safety
Good point,
issues
Andy.
too.
safety, and
issues.
it's welcome to Waterboro, and here it is, these dilapidated buildings.
I don't know how many people
It's just not in Detroit, but people
address
decide
that
to
subject
homestead
to me.
those
Judy,
sites.
what's your feeling?
Yeah, we were looking at purchasing
Do you think we
a
should
commercial
ask them-
building over
ask them
Ossipee,
to
and
clear
it
it?
dragged and dragged and
Or
dragged.
leave it as is?
There's
By the time we went to go to
substantial tax
closing on it,
revenue. I
kids had
know.
gotten into it. We had Nazi symbols through the
It's
whole
just-
I don't know if
thing.
there is or not.
Smashed
It's just
out.
Well, I wanna
it's
hear
just a
it.
courtesy.
Yes or no? I mean,
Yeah, if you could get a
should we keep
consensus of
leave
the
the
board, we
buildings in
want to go
place
with
for
that, because
tax
I don't mind
revenue,
writing
or
them a letter
clean it up so it looks good?
suggesting,
Well, it
let's say,
depends what the
spring
revenue
of
is, but I
2014
can't imagine
that
it's-
the board would like to.
Is there anyone opposed to that idea?
I
Well,
think we
they're
ought to find
can't
out
they
what
get
we're
that
really,
brown
what we're
house?
gonna
I
lose in
can't,
revenue.
there's like 3 conversations going on.
Yes. Why don't we find out what we're gonna lose in revenue before we ask them to clear
Well,
the
if you
building?
wait till after April 1st, nothing. Because it's whatever's on the ground April 1st that's taxed.
Gentlemen, suggestions?
Can we
Kurt?
get that little brown house while they're at it?
I think you leave well enough alone. It's a,
Just stay out of it?
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have any argument to force them to make them to go. You,
Well, no, we were gonna ask as a courtesy.
I know, but it's then if you're the guy on the other side, you're going. It costs me money to rip it down. I can't really do anything with it. I'd like to get so I'm mobilizing twice. I want to keep town happy, so I want to do it, but it's gonna, you put him in an awkward position too.
All right.
And it doesn't.
Fine. The gentleman
I think
is out
Patco's
front
been a
with this.
stand-up builder in the community.
And
He does
he's
good
he's
stuff.
way out in front with
And-
this, so.
And I think that, I don't have a problem granting this request.
There's nothing to grant.
There's nothing to grant, but I mean, I appreciate them coming forward and asking.
Yeah, at least
about it.
we know
They
it's
know,
known.
they know we're talking about it, but there's no
Basically,
sunset clause
he's
now.
come to us as a courtesy, and so the board, in some courteous form, should respond. And I'd be happy to write the letter or to...
All right. So
I
what?
think the board should add their thanks for the work that they did on the,
Yeah.
At the pavilion.
What is his target date
They
on
did the
this
pavilion
now?
over
I understand
at
his
Friendship
position where
Oh, really?
it was a busy job just to
Just
keep his
the
guys
freebie.
busy. Now he's
Recent
got other
materials.
work.
Right now,
Does he have a target date?
The target date, as of today, is spring/summer
Summer
of 2015. That's the target date,
So we're looking at a year and a half.
based on,
Which
you know...
is- Yep, just-
And again, it's a courtesy thing, so you know, that's what makes us, if
Well-
we want to be business friendly, then we respond back in a friendly way. And
Yep.
Well,
Let's just say we appreciate the.
I guess we could revisit it and ask him to do something down the road if it changes up, but at this time,
Yeah,
How
we're
do you-
pretty
how's it
much
work?
out of it. They're just letting us know. There's no expiration date on site plan right
Nope.
now. If we move into this and do something about it, there will be, but as it is now, there isn't.
Well, we could say something to the effect the board
We
received
appreciate them keeping us up to date.
and accepted the memo. Doesn't mean you approved it, you just accepted the memo. And you also appreciate the work that they've done at Friendship Park.
yeah, and we have no problems with this at this time.
That was a good idea, Tina.
All right.
And so I'll
So
take care of that tomorrow.
So that segues right into the site plan review. We had submitted our final plan to Natalie, and she came back with, I think it was 7 different items that she found problems with in the site plan. Does anybody, we've all had a chance to review those?
Kurt, your opinion?
I mean, some of them I really agree with. I think she's clearing it up. I mean, after the last 2 weeks ago, you know, Andy I think said it. It keeps us out of. At first, my first reaction was, "Oh, great! Now we have a lawyer telling us what we need to be doing." But then Andy brought up it keeps this defendable. She can defend it. So, I mean, I was just reading the one thing she was talking about with the owners of a budding property. You know, the applicant. I mean, actually I didn't even notice that when I read it. I read it as, I mean, when we do it, all of ours, we do it the way Natalie says it. We give the money to the town, and the town does it. And it's actually easier on me. I just give them the check, but I didn't even think. I just read it really quick, and I mean, so I agree with what she's saying in it. I think it does. I don't see it as that much of a neutering of the work that was done.
I think she did a good job. She poked holes in what we need, and we needed to see this. 'Cause that's what we started this project for, was to close up all these things.
On that aspect, Tina and I talked briefly about that this afternoon. Tina has a greater comfort level doing it internally. However, there may need to be some clarity that the applicant still picks up the cost of the advertising for the public hearing.
I think that's what she said. She says it's at the.
Yeah,
That's how clear you want to be on that.
It might be better to make the town responsible for all notices with all costs of notice to be borne by the applicant. So all costs. So I mean that would include advertising and mailings.
the other thing that we talked about was that if it's a minor review, then we probably wouldn't notify abutters, whereas if it's a major one, we would.
But there's nothing in here saying.
That
I
says
think what,
that.
no, well, I think in there, the same guidelines, no matter minor or major, apply. The only difference between a minor, it doesn't have to come through the board.
And
but
so you would
everything else is the
notify
same.
them of
But we
what?
wouldn't know about it.
The more I think about this minor, major, we went into it with good intent that the staff could help expedite something that was, I'll use that example of just putting a shed roof on. However, when we start splitting legal hairs, it may be advantageous just to send everything to the board, because the staff would be notifying the board anyways, whether we interpret it as being minor. We agreed that we would always notify of it. If there was even one board member that felt, geez, I question this and let's ship it to major. For the sense of consistency, avoiding any legal issues of interpretation, Maybe we should go back to base one and just have everything come to the planning board. Staff continue to do as they do the technical review, give you all of the details. One of the nice things that we can do in Waterboro that most municipalities can't do is that we can expedite the staff review, okay? And we have done that. Whereas in many cases, for example, you take like Biddeford or Sanford, they have a very structured procedure. You receive the application, you sit on it for 14 to 21 days. And if there's one little tiny deficiency in it, then it's another 21 days. In our case, we're very straightforward. We come right to this room, the fire chief, CEO, and myself. Sometimes one of the lieutenants from the fire department will come along, or the fire marshal. And we'll sit here and we'll go through it and we'll create a punch list of any deficiencies. So they'll walk away from the meeting with that punch list, get right to it. And so we really do expedite it internally. And then we get it, straight to the planning board. But I just don't want to find ourselves caught in that situation where an unnecessary misunderstanding, disagreement between the staff and the board as to what's minor and major. Because sometimes our interpretations are maybe different,
Well, we did make other changes too. So there's no point in losing all that. Minimum square footage, go ahead.
I guess what I want to say is that if we're really interested in streamlining the process, once the application comes in and the staff reviews it, somehow we need to make the board and the public hearing be the same night, because there's not going to be, we're going to have that 2-meeting thing again. You're going to be right back to looking at 6 weeks before you can get the applicant in for the second meeting.
As a matter of policy, that's a smart way of doing business, whether it's site plan review, subdivisions, a selectmen's meeting. Why double up on meetings and make somebody wait?
But the board also has to have the material before the public hearing.
Providing the application is complete, and that should be the caveat.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing that we pass on the minor majors, everything just comes for the board, but we streamline by having only one meeting for the board and the public hearing all at the same time. And that way we cut out like 6
But
weeks, right?
Right, and it has to be that the staff has the information to the board, obviously before the meeting, and it would have to be 2 weeks before the meeting, because to set a public hearing, to send out notices, we'd need 2 weeks. So between the time the staff says it's complete and the board has their meeting, there would be 2 weeks time to set up the public hearing, the board to review it, and then have one meeting
Right.
with the applicant.
Even with that,
This would
we're,
be for all site plan review applications?
Pardon me?
This would be for all site plan?
Well,
review
that's where the
applications?
next question is.
And
do
it
we-
brings us
You know,
back to
because
what
back to
started
the-
There's a
all
big
of
difference
this.
if you have a self-storage thing or a McDonald's restaurant on the corner of so-and-so street. I mean, it could be a total different, the controversy there is going to be totally different. I wouldn't want to be at a public hearing, looking at the plans for the first time.
That's what I'm saying, you'd
Well,
have
no,
to
it's-
have it, 2 weeks
Tina
before,
was saying they'll get it to us 2 weeks ahead of time, but
because
at
that's how much time you'd need to do the notices anyway.
the meeting's gonna be the public hearing and the vote all in one evening.
Well, you wouldn't have to vote. I mean, you could have a public hearing and your review. If you decided you needed more information, peer review, whatever, then you could have another meeting. But you could do it in one meeting, whereas you don't ever do that now.
Correct.
We just went through a ZBA hearing over in New Hampshire, and it was sitting through the whole thing. It was interesting because they do, on their agenda, they have like a pre-meeting for they basically get at their, like this meeting, we would get the package for the next week, or the next meeting, and they can't discuss it because the applicant's not there, but they make sure everybody's got it. The town planner talks about what he saw in it, what he brought in, the CEO talked about what they saw of it, and then that was it. There was no board discussion or anything else, but everybody got it 2 weeks before I thought it was a pretty, I was sitting in the audience, I'm going, it seemed like it was a thorough process. They got it, which just meant the poor applicant had to get their thing in a month ahead of time, before you could do it, but it was just an offer up as an idea.
Well, you're sure everybody gets it? Everybody has it right there.
Yeah, and there was
I
all
like
the
that,
comments.
'cause I can take it to work and review it.
So
My
where's the
downtime.
cutoff again? That brings us
But
back
that
to
puts
what
us
started
back-
the whole thing
The
was.
square footage, that's the
Yeah,
cutoff.
it was creeping ahead on projects that we had no control over.
Mhm.
We did the sunset clause. I think that can stand the way it is.
Mhm.
That's fine.
Yeah, the only question she had
Substantial
was about-
completion, we got away from that. So I guess that brings us back to what triggers site plan.
What triggers a minor versus a major, you mean?
Well, if we're not gonna have minor and major, then
Which
Yeah, I think that
triggers
is-
one at all, because 1,000 square feet is what does it now, right?
And I think we just need a timeline. I mean, they can't build 999 this year and then 999 next year. So, right?
Can't, but they do.
Well, they
Can't.
can.
Yeah.
But you
That's
can if you don't.
That's one of the other things that started this
It
up.
happens. And, you know, we have no defense if someone does come in at 999.
So we're back to square one.
We don't have anything in this one saying it's a cumulative.
No, I didn't think you
No, I think the issue of cumulative, everyone, you know, let's say an applicant comes in 5 years and each one's 999, okay? You know, how do you work around that? One, we're gonna have to grandfather everything that's been done in the past, okay? So
Yeah.
everything that's been done in the past, let's say we have somebody down in East Waterboro that keeps doing a 999. The clock only starts once you institute the law or the policy.
Right.
So there'd be, you hear what I'm saying? Is, yeah.
Yeah, and they'd have all those ones that are out there would have the ability to expire. They would be able to keep going those after this was enacted. But if anything that, it's actually since the day we start discussing this, right? If an applicant shows up now that we're discussing it, they fall under the rules if it's adopted.
When it's enacted.
enacted, yeah.
But they, yeah, so even though it's not approved, if somebody comes in tonight with a site plan, they
go
could
by
be
the-
on.
They go by the current ordinance.
By the court of current, we don't have, we haven't adopted the new
I
one.
thought it was once it was discussed.
No.
Sometimes that applies in moratorium discussions.
Okay.
In this particular
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the growth ordinance, if that's what that applied
Because then
to?
you have different grounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andy, what's your take on this?
I'm confused now.
Great, I was looking to you.
Well, I think it's great that we're having this discussion for this really big reason. There's a lot of major overhauls that are needed in the zoning ordinance. So we have to come up with some sort of process where, you know, we don't beat it to death for years and years. Otherwise, we'll never get our zoning ordinance up to date. If we go back to base one, why we did this, we were trying to simplify the process. Now we've made it a little bit more detailed, but we've also made it a little bit more legal and defensible. So we've satisfied most of Natalie's needs. And I think that there's consensus with the staff that we're okay with, our intent was only to try to expedite a simple application.
We
We're
did
okay in
gain-
bringing it to the board.
we did gain some things.
How about at this time, we pass on the major minor thing, we go with Natalie's suggestions. And then we at least get this far, and then we'll just have to sure up on the timeline, how many times you can build 999. But at least I think we ought to see if we can agree on accepting what Natalie wants to put into our ordinance. And say we can at least get that far in this.
And stick with 1,000 feet.
Let's stick with 1,000 feet for now, and then wrestle with a timeline on, so we don't get these people coming back doing 999 every year.
And what that'll
Because
do,
we're covered, if we go with this, then we're covered, anything over 1,000 feet. The only other thing we'll have to discuss down the road is, how many times can you build 999? But at least we'll get this out of the way, we'll get this part of the program high and tight.
and I would hope, on an optimistic side, we'd like to think that that doesn't happen too many times, that people will do it just to,
Agreed, but we
Given
started this to plug holes for the future,
you know.
and that's where
Somebody
we
wants to,
finish
if
out.
somebody wants to build 5,000 square feet, they're gonna come in and make the application, and not do it over 5 years. It'd be more costly for them to do 999 every year for 5 years.
All right.
They come in and they do the
Well,
application.
okay,
I
great.
think what happens is the business probably grows, and I don't think this is gonna happen too often. A business probably grows a little bit quicker than they think, and they get caught in the jam, they need
All
some
right.
room, they're going up. So part of being business friendly is working with them and trying to get them approved quickly and encourage business growth. But at the same time, if we don't have a difference between the minor and the major, there could be some major project that could come in front of, I mean, another Hannaford or something, or a Walmart, and we
I
get
think the square footage
this thing
criteria
done
helps you
2
there.
months. I mean, I don't see that happening. So I think there has to be some differential between the two of them. I like the minor and the major, as much as we have issues with it. I like the minor and the major. I was adapted to it, but it does have some issues.
The dilemma becomes if we, after reading Natalie's comments, if we try to segregate minor from major, she's saying legally to be defensible, we need to create a whole set of standards. Now, in reviewing other municipalities, when they have the sets of standards and they create minor and major, I'm finding that the very same standards for major apply to minor, which makes it self-defeating for a minor. Because many of those things, the applicant then has to come back and ask for a waiver. Natalie doesn't like the idea of having waivers, so we have to go back and we could use
So
non-applicable.
the only option we really
That's what I
have
was
is
thinking.
to make the limit that if it's under 1,000 square feet or 1,500 square feet, it's not applicable to site plan review. And that speeds the process up definitely. It's CEO and that there. I think that's the only thing that we can do is the way we have it right now, which is if it's under 1,000 square feet, it doesn't have to go into site plan review. We just have to add language in there that you can only do 1,000 square foot or 2,000 square foot addition every 5 years. Otherwise, it falls back to site plan review.
Ooh, that's a
All
good
right.
idea. That's a
There you go,
really
Andy.
good idea.
That's what I was looking for.
I like that idea. That's
Did
a
you
good
catch that?
No,
So,
sorry.
under 2,000 square feet, it doesn't need site plan review, which makes it easier for the small guy coming in,
Correct.
but he can only do it once in a 5-year period, or he's gotta cut the site plan.
All right, fine. If he wants to build
That's
again,
That
then
speeds the process, and it still gives us protection, that we have time to thoroughly go through the process if there comes some complicated application
Yeah.
all
in
right.
front of the board.
That's a good checks and
I
balances.
like that.
That's a nice idea.
Are you, so you want to say 1,000 square feet, and now, when we rewrote this, we included impervious surfaces, are we taking that back out
I
again?
think we changed it to 2,600 in here, I think it was.
Right,
Impervious surfaces.
So if we want
Including-
2,600 or 1,000, that's the number we have to
I
discuss.
thought 1,000 was actually building square feet, is what that was.
yeah, and then
So-
he changed it
In the current
2,600.
ordinance, it's
2,600.
2,600 including
Inclusive
parking
of
area.
parking.
In this new ordinance that we were proposing,
Right.
under the minor, it was 2,600 square feet, including
Including the parking.
pavement.
Well, how much pavement though? And how much building? If we go-
2,600 square feet, whatever
Just a
way it
total.
comes up.
Well, so they got 1 foot of pavement and
Well,
20.
they may have extra pavement and not enough building.
But there are requirements for parking.
Right, the parking has to,
They have to have so many spots depending on the use.
All right.
I'm not objective to changing the 1,000 to a higher number, like 1,500 or 2,000 square feet.
Well, once upon a time, what was it? How many years ago, Tina? It was 2,000.
No, probably 10
I'll
years
tell you
ago.
what,
I was on the
Yeah.
board when we voted it back.
Yeah, 1,000 is really not that. What's that? 10 by 10? No, it's 100. So it's a
30 by 30
100
build,
bucks.
32 by 32 building is going to be, like, you know,
1,000.
that's
So
about it.
that's-
Just
which isn't really that big at all.
It's not a lot.
That's like a storage place.
that's
Pretty hard to
All
build
right.
any kind of business in that, unless an Aroma Joe's property.
So
Well, to
So-
give you a sense of
it
scale,
would be
Yeah, there
horrible
you
as
go.
far as traffic goes.
to give everybody a sense of scale, the Dunkin' Donuts complex is about 10 grand. It's about
10,000
10,000 square feet. The proposal that J&D had when they came for their change of zone was the exact same footprint, about 10,000
All
square
right.
feet.
So we're dropping the major minor. We still need to look at the square footage cutoff. We still have the sunset clause. We still have, instead of substantial completion, we have, what was it, a completion date? I know I just looked at it. Which was, that was a radical change. So we'd be keeping all of that.
Yes, I just saw
I think it's
what about
right.
Andy's thing about the?
the
Andy,
last thing.
Go ahead.
go ahead. No, I was saying, Andy, if you could repeat what you said earlier, just a minute ago. I like that
They
plan
can do
about
1,000 square feet or 2,000 square
Whatever.
feet, once in a 5-year period,
right,
once in every
but
5
we'll
years.
expand it to.
If they do it more often than that, then they're gonna come to site plan review.
I like that. That way, we're more friendly, but we'll make it larger because let's face it, 1,000 square feet is nothing more than
When we're making it
parking a
larger, we're
car.
talking about all everything,
Impervious
pavement and everything else.
To legally
Changing
frame
the face
that
of the ground.
and to save
Correct.
time, let's
All
just
right.
have Natalie craft that language.
So you
So we can-
think you have enough to,
Do you,
I
Go
think
back.
Jeannie and I, either one of us will give Natalie a call, and we'll just have her frame that language that Andy came up with, so that, with some legal,
yeah,
Yeah.
easy.
MG, mumbo jumbo.
I think that pretty much accomplishes what we
I-
set out to do.
yes, yeah. And we have the sunset clause that we didn't have before.
Okay,
What would the number be?
all right.
I think 2,600 is, you know what I mean? 1,000 square feet, including pavement.
No.
That's not even an Aroma Joe's.
No. So 2,600 altogether,
Building an impervious surface.
but also,
Not
somebody
to-
says we have an ordinance for how many parking spots have to be.
Not to exceed that amount.
9,500, yeah.
And Natalie came up with language for expiration of the site plan approval. She deleted the language that we originally had for substantial start.
Oh, really?
And on the last page,
Last page.
No, that was what you guys did.
Yes. This is our last change up.
So that thing we had about, they have to start within 2 years, and,
That's on page 7?
okay, that's not what she's deleted.
No.
All right. No, I thought that was pretty good. I went on.
Yeah, it's still right
Okay.
there, on page 8. The last paragraph of page 1.
See, on
Yeah,
page
that's
8
where it
for
was
me, I just
deleted.
have
For
that.
Yeah,
some
I got,
reason-
what do you got? I got
It was
septic.
deleted from page 8, somehow it got in the
Okay.
definitions,
Okay.
but it's on the bottom of page 7, which is the expiration of the approval.
So do you think this was enough for you to go
I
back?
do. I think, she did a really good, thorough job on the first cut, and now she can add these remaining comments in there, and eliminate the minor major.
I agree.
I think we will have achieved mostly everything that we set out to do. We've been fortunate that the site plan reviews have gone well, and they haven't been controversial. But we need to prepare ourselves better.
For that one that comes through, that may cause problems, so.
Well, when the next supermarket comes into town, they could be between 20 to, the typical templates for supermarkets is 20 to 40,000. If they add storage facilities to the back, like in the Rochester Hannafords, there's a huge warehousing facility behind that. So, you can have marks that will go anywhere from 20 to 50,000 square feet. So if you're at 50, you've got an acre of coverage, acre plus. So that's where this will come in handy.
All
So
right.
we all set with site plan? We'll move on to
good.
cisterns.
Yep.
What I was hoping was that we could just put that behind us, maybe tonight. I know Andy's
Cisterns.
worked on it a lot. I know, we had Dennison, I think Dave was at the meeting that night when we talked about having the town accept responsibility for the cisterns, and that's what started all of this. So we still have several options in our ordinances for a subdivision. We don't need just cisterns. We have dry hydrants, sprinkler systems, ponds, fire ponds. In the past, we required the applicant to give us a proposal for the cistern that you guys relook at, or we can send out to engineers. We don't need to design the standard for cisterns. We'll have them design the standard. And then, what was the process for getting them accepted? First they're bonded.
You have to bond the cistern. What we discussed is they have to bond the cistern. Then once the cistern has been bonded, it's put in, it's bonded, it's inspected by a certified engineer as it's going in. Then you do a water test on it like a year down the road to make sure it's holding the water. And then it's given to the town for acceptance.
Is there any money that transfers with that? Or?
We had talked about different funds, whether there should be an impact fee to the
Budgeting.
town or whatever. And I think ultimately, the general consensus was we're in the air about an impact fee.
Okay.
I know that right now, I actually looked up in the town warrant, the fire department right now pays $36,000 a year to rent the hydrants off the water company.
Right.
You know, so I know the discussion would come up as to, well, you know, if the water, if the fire hydrant is paying for the maintenance of the hydrants by paying $1,000 per hydrant or whatever it is they're paying per hydrant, why shouldn't they do the same thing for a cistern and maintain a cistern?
But the other thing that's interesting is there's a budget line in the fire department to shovel out the hydrants. So they're paying for maintenance and they're doing the maintenance themselves.
Yeah, I think they hired out the hydrant shoveling.
But I mean, they pay for it. It should
Pay
be
for it twice.
the water district should be
Yeah, oh, yeah.
responsible. They own it. You're renting it. You know, it's
I said that a year ago.
So right now, the way I feel I was directed to write this thing up was that it goes to the town to be accepted, and I wasn't gonna put any impact fee in there. It was gonna be no fee.
I don't know how you can legally do it. I mean, you know,
I think that, I don't believe in the impact fee. I think that the money that gets spent in inspections and whatnot, whatever's left over, after it actually gets accepted by the town, can go back to the applicant.
So typically, there was a subdivision doing a cistern or a shopping center, whatever's dedicated to the town, it becomes town responsibility. It was a subdivision on town, it's gonna be the road plus the cistern.
I think it's the only.
If it's accepted by the town.
Yeah,
I think it's the only way you can guarantee that thing
it's gonna work.
is going to
And
work.
that's the bottom
Oh,
line.
agreed, that's what the bond issue
And it
is.
just becomes an expense like anything else, and that's what some of the feeling, I'm not gonna speak for some people that were here that night, but the feeling was that's just an expense of having a town and
Yeah.
keeping people safe, and it will just be budgeted.
Part of what town government is supposed to do.
Exactly.
How long do they last?
Well, town government's also supposed to
They
not
could
put
last.
any burden
Could
on
last
taxpayers
a long
as
time.
well.
They could last 6 years.
You
Yeah,
know,
but there's gonna be,
The weird thing is, like, you don't, most of the plastic ones, the concrete ones, are only going to get affected by accidents usually. You know, and you might
well, like
Huh?
the earthquake we
earthquake.
had,
That's it.
and then we were all sitting right here.
Cement
for it.
trucks do a good job on it too.
All
There's
right.
so many different things when it comes in. I read the fire chief's ordinance a few times, I've gone over it, right? And he wants a metal standpipe. He wants an 8-inch metal standpipe.
So we can choke off and pull.
You know, and it's like, I think that a plastic PVC pipe is better than a metal pipe because it ain't gonna rust.
Yeah, but they want to do the choke. They want to do a clove hitch on it and then drive the truck away and pull the pipe,
That
pull the
could be-
hose out.
They can do it on the bollard. next
Yeah.
to it, you know,
Yeah, the bollards are all
I'm
right
not sure.
there.
But it's language like that, is do I put that in there or don't I put that in there? Do I get that picky? Maybe if you have a concrete septic tank, a concrete cistern, you would put a metal hydrant coming up. But if you had a plastic tank,
You'd
would you
want
put a
the.
metal, would you put a metal?
I'd want the pipe to fail before the tank fails.
I don't wanna
But
make it
isn't
too
that
restrictive.
When the applicant makes a presentation to the board about what they're gonna put in, then the fire chief says, yeah, that's acceptable, or
Exactly.
no,
What's his
it's not.
standard? What's his standard?
Well, and it'll change next year anyway. If you make something
When I
that
was
you
in-
think is the standard next, just like
I don't think it's up to us.
sprinkler
to know.
systems,
All
they
these
keep
cisterns-
changing too.
Yeah.
All these cisterns have a manufacturer's
Right.
directions to install. Like, when I went down, and I saw George Robinson had that 30,000 gallon cistern that David Construction was looking at. That was their engineers at George Roberts going over with David what had to be done with that cistern, putting it in. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, we're gonna write a cistern ordinance. How do I put that language in there? And you have to do that for concrete, plastic, fiberglass.
And who
So I
knows
think
what
it has
else
to
is
be,
gonna
as
come.
per manufacturer's suggested recommendations put in and signed by an engineer.
I
The
think if-
engineer has to approve the installation.
And if we don't like it, we kick it back.
Not,
I think
not
if you have-
actually dictate a specific standard.
Right.
Just say it has to be approved.
Right.
By an engineer,
By an
by
engineer.
manufacturer standards.
One of the things you said on that is key, is manufacturer standards, because you don't want a guy that goes out and buys an old gas tank and shoves it, he Rube Goldberg's a system. It's a 10,000 gallon tank. But I think if you have manufacturers, that gets us out of the guy that designs his own tank.
The only thing that I felt in the cistern thing that we didn't really discuss a whole heck of a lot was it a 10,000 gallon cistern or 20,000 gallon cistern or a 30,000 gallon cistern?
The insurance doesn't count. The 10,000 gallon tanks that are on our ordinance do not do anything for insurance.
But I'm not sure if the ordinance should be concerned about the insurances, they should be concerned about public safety.
Well,
Well,
it's the fire
our-
department. Matt was saying that they don't it doesn't recognize a 10,000 gallon tank. It doesn't get them anything.
Yeah. So we start talking about a 20 or 30,000 gallon cistern, you know, and Matt did mention at that meeting that, you know, when you start laying out 800 feet of hose, 4-inch hose, you drain half the tank out.
Just in the hose.
Just fill in the hose, which I can see that, you know.
But then if you read that standard for those 30,000 gallon tanks, it's only one per, I forget what the distance was, but like 1 per 5 mile radius. Or 1 per quarter mile radius. I forget what it was. But there's, you know, we got 2 subdivisions that are a quarter mile apart. Each has a 10,000 gallon tank. And then the rest of that road's got nothing on it. If you go to the 30,000 gallon tanks, you know, this much of the town is covered by it, not just that subdivision.
I just hate to grow government or grow expenses for the town, you know. We start talking about putting 30,000 gallon cisterns in that are going to be accepted by the town. That means the town has to maintain them.
I
And
guess-
down the road, eventually it will fail. Eventually, guaranteed it will fail at some point.
What does the 10,000 gallon tank give us, though?
Huh?
But the 10,000 gallon tank fails too.
But what
Yeah,
is
exactly.
it? But
It's
what
not
is
as
it?
expensive to replace as a 30,000.
Yeah, but if it doesn't give you anything,
So I wasn't going to address the size.
Well, 310s.
I didn't know what to do with the size.
But I didn't. You know what I mean? What is it? If we enact an ordinance that doesn't do anything, I mean, I know in my heart 10,000 gallons puts a house up. You know, I'm not that part. I'm not arguing about. But if the state doesn't recognize it, insurance industries don't recognize it, I don't know, whatever fire association doesn't recognize it, why do it?
Is that our standard now, is 10,000 gallons?
Yeah, for
Why have any standard? Why not look at each case individually and say they want a
The size of
cistern
the project.
and size it according to the project? You know, just get away from
Well,
it.
if insurance companies aren't going to recognize it, why should the town accept responsibility for a 10,000 gallon tank if something goes wrong? Then
Because it's for safety. It's like Kurt said, we don't care what the company wants, it's what's
I
safe.
mean, 10,000 gallons of water is a lot of water.
And now they're going to, you know, like Massachusetts is going heavy into the steam firefight. I mean, they put out fires with like 400 gallons of water, whole house fires with 400 gallons.
All right. Steam.
yeah, well, now we're talking new trucks and
Yeah. Yeah.
anybody got
the,
$500,000 for new trucks?
Do we have any record of history of the longevity of these things, maintenance cost?
I think it might be different for each style. I mean, fiberglass, plastic.
But do we have anything?
Nobody's done anything
That
on it.
would
So
be the
that
manufacturers.
unless we go and ask the subdivisions that are still looking at it, the town hasn't done anything
The
on
ones
it.
I've put in have always been concrete. And to my knowledge, other than one that I put in that failed right away.
Right
Failed
away.
in the installation. The seal wasn't in there right or something and it was leaking water. I had to go back and seal it. Other than that, all of them that I put in are still, to my knowledge, working fine. They're holding water. I mean, it's like a concrete
How many
tank, it's
years?
reinforced concrete, and it's substantially thick. So I would think they'd last. for
What's
quite
your
a while.
oldest one, Andy?
But when you drive a car and you knock off the hydrant head and everything else and crack the top of the thing, you know, it's like, is it fixed right or isn't it fixed right? And it becomes a problem. If there's an earthquake or I don't know, what could go wrong with it? I don't know. Concrete tank or a plastic tank.
I think if the town's going to own it, then we need to look at it as it's proposed and look at something that's solid, that's going to last a while. And we have that flexibility.
Yep.
I think it's all just wide open for us. As far as the design and
Well, I think Dave makes a good point. I think we ought to look into which style lasts the longest, the least amount of repairs or easiest to repair, especially since we're looking at the town accepting responsibility for it in the long run. So we gotta get some information on this.
I think it's
You know, look at it like a 20-year period, and what is the cost of maintenance and repairs, durability of the system?
I think something like that, we'd have to actually use professional fees and talk to like,
do it-
you
or
know,
have
Wright
it at
Pierce
the
or
time,
somebody like that.
at the
that doesn't-
expense of the applicant. Say they give us a proposal and we look at it and say, how long is this going to last? You know,
Yeah, but-
how durable is it? Put it where it belongs. Put it
Yeah,
on
but I want to see real facts. I don't want to see somebody saying, well, this is what the manufacturer says it's going to do. I would think what Dave's saying is we need to look back
But if
and find some of these tanks that have been in the ground 20 years and say, how many times has it been worked on?
But if an engineer stamps that information, I mean, that's someone who's qualified that's telling you.
The license is on the line.
That's what's going to happen.
Jim,
Yes.
20
you
years.
still have some money in your budget that could give you a third-party engineering consultative review. That we could pose the questions of
Different style tanks.
different style, new technologies, different style tanks. There may even be something out there that we don't even know about.
Yeah, like Woodard, Kern, Wright Pierce, those guys do those designs all the time. They've got to have a favorite that's running right now.
All right, why don't,
We're fortunate to have some good engineers that have worked for the town. I can think of 4 different firms that have worked for the town. And if the board had a preference, they could let us know. If you gave us permission to use that money in your budget, which is there dedicated just for that type of consultative use.
I think it's a good use of the money
I
because
think
we
it's-
can't answer that
well,
question.
Agreed, but I want to know how much first.
Well, we'd keep it within the limits of your budget. You know, I have a rule with,
Yeah, but
I have Gary has a rule, everything's black line, no red lines. And so, we would stay within the confines of what you have left
Right,
in
but
the
I don't want
budget.
to drop the whole thing on just one company.
Well, you
one
only have, you know, probably 5 months left anyways. I can't think of any other better use to put it
Can you
towards.
bring us back a little more on that? But I
Pardon
think
me?
I agree it's the right direction to go in. Let's get a third party
If we
review.
need to, we can vote on it, but I trust Tom to,
You know, not to exceed what currently remains in.
because this is
In the
year-end
budget.
budget, this is what we have left.
Dave, what's your take on getting a third opinion?
I'd like to see something professionally done.
Yeah.
Really would.
Fine,
Because
So
then
Because
we
there
can
could be
refer back
something
to-
besides cisterns out there, you know?
okay.
it gives an engineering perspective, and basically it's just going to be an opinion letter to the board.
Yeah.
And you have some, but you know,
Plastic, fiberglass, concrete, metal pipe or plastic pipe.
Over a 20-year period,
we might
Yeah.
okay.
propose just a series of questions, because, you know, you just can't go to a consultant and say, you know,
Open-ended.
write me a letter. So we'll have some structured questions, and how about if we compose those and run them by the chair, and then before we send it out to one of a chosen firm, then Tim
I'm
will
all
go
right
ahead and
with
take
that.
a look. Is that okay?
How much is involved in maintenance as far as making them accessible to the fire trucks? Shoveling and stuff like that? Do you have to do that or not?
Even in the old ones, they're required to be accessible by fire trucks,
Yeah,
even in the existing.
everything does.
Yeah, but who does, shovels the snow
Well,
off
that's a
then?
good question.
I know the
How
fire
much would
Fire
farm
department did that.
at the old farm
Hmm.
across from where I live there. That is a plastic pipe going into the pond. And I assume the fire department should be doing it, or somebody should, but my brother is the one that plowed it. I don't know if he didn't do it, what would happen, you know?
But that kind of dovetails into this too, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's
I mean,
except
if the town's gonna be responsible for them, they're gonna have to do all that.
Exactly.
Is that gonna
It's like they
cost?
shovel the hydrants down. All the
Yeah.
hydrants are shoveled.
Yeah.
All the dry hydrants should be shoveled too.
Yeah.
So aside for the standards for cisterns, can we move ahead with the fact that they will be bonded,
Yeah.
Yes,
inspected,
yes,
tested after a year,
yes.
the builder gets his bond back, and the town, when you say the town assumes responsibility,
Not automatically. It's discussed by the town.
It has to be, I think anything that is
It's like road.
private to public.
Like the
Has
roads.
to be put in front of the board of selectmen to be accepted.
Correct.
but you don't see going to town meeting for every cistern.
I don't think.
Mm-mm.
But wouldn't it go the
No,
same
like
time the
roads.
road goes?
So we're
All right.
asking the
Like
selectmen
the roads go.
to accept it.
Correct. I'll go with that.
Well, I think when you ask that the road be accepted, you can say that the road and the cistern.
But there may be
are accepted.
situations where there's a cistern but there's no road.
Or a
Road.
private
Right,
road.
but the idea is I want to see it go before the selectmen and be reviewed again.
So if there's a road involved, it would be the road and the cistern together. Or
Or,
if there's just a cistern, it would just be the cistern.
and what
Okay.
they would get is the engineering report, the fact that the bond has been paid off, and here's the cistern that's been built to standards. Will you accept it?
Correct.
And, you know, I think the question too, Tom, you would ask the engineering firm is size.
Absolutely. Let's address
As
that.
far as benefit to.
Putting in something that's too small is not
Insurance
doing
and-
anybody any good.
Yeah.
So do you think that's something that should go to the selectmen? I mean, do we need their support as far as, before we go any further?
No, I don't-
Well, we're gonna get a report first.
I know we
think.
had some selectmen here tonight, we had the workshop with the chief,
yeah.
and that was my impression, but it was just a couple of you guys here. I mean, you think the board will accept the responsibility
Yeah.
for the systems?
Yeah, I think, you guys are in charge of the money and how you're spending it, and this is an issue that selectmen want resolved, so I think you need more information.
Well,
So
All
it
right,
sounds like,
fine.
except for the standards and what we're going to require, that we're pretty much done with it.
yeah. We're gonna get some information from Tom. Go ahead and move
Yeah.
forward with that. It's gonna go by you.
And as the subdivisions come in,
Let's walk through it once more. I'm going to prepare a series of questions and give it a set of eyes with the
Mhm.
chair. Chair is going to modify or do whatever he needs to it. Then I'm going to pick an engineering group that the town has worked with. It'll be one of the 4 we've worked with in the last 5 years. And we're going to keep it within whatever's left in your budget. So that'll be my bartering chip. We only have this
Mhm.
much money in it.
yeah, that's it.
All
But
right.
the board should vote on us proceeding in that direction.
I'll make a motion that we proceed.
I'll second.
We hire a consulting firm to give us professional reviews on types, sizes, and life expectancy.
And longevity.
Or standards, cistern standards, or acceptable alternatives.
And Dwayne seconded that.
Yes, I am.
Any discussion? All those in favor? So that's just kind of a side note, though, I think, to the rest of this, to move it ahead and just finish it off.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we need like a formal ordinance, you think? We need to write up something to that effect?
Well, not,
That,
I think-
that will, what Andy's describing, we need something in writing, I think.
Yeah, I would ask for a legal opinion as to whether or not you need a formal ordinance or...
If it's strictly part of a subdivision, then it could be part of the subdivision ordinance rather than have another ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think somebody's going to want to
But
just
as
come
far
into
as the
town and put a
bonding
cistern in.
and-
right.
Well, the performance bonding is already,
So it's all part of it, it's all in place.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
any commercial ventures are likely to be on public water.
Yeah.
There's
So-
nothing that forces them onto public water, though, right?
No,
Not for commercial venture, no.
but let's face it, it was very few commercial buildings are gonna, larger commercial buildings are gonna come in on a well.
But as far as sending
Remember
it,
when Diana wanted to be on a well?
Yeah, there's some
bought 'em
smaller places that would, but
as far as
you
sending
get
it,
3 or 4 businesses in a lot.
as far as sending it to the selectmen, does that need to be formalized somehow, or
Well, I would wait
I
until
don't
you
think
get
we're ready
some,
for it yet.
the feedback from the
Let's
engineer.
Let's go.
you think it's too early
Agreed.
for that?
And then you can kind of sift through that and say, aha,
Let's
we're
get
right on the
it.
right course. This is exactly what we talked about, no surprises.
I'm assuming, Dave, you go back to the board and you talk about what we talk about,
Right.
or at least give it a hint on it. So, I mean, I would think that if they have an objection to it, you would know. So, I think we're good with that.
So can we at least say that Andy is finished with this project? Done a
Oh,
great
no.
job.
I don't think we can say we're finished till Frank weighs in.
Come on, we haven't heard from Frank.
I'm glad we talked about this tonight. In order for me to feel good about it, I think this kind of cleared the air on a lot of the issues that I was struggling with. I'll make some points of everything that was supposed to be in the ordinance. So at least we have written
Okay.
points that this all has to be included in this
Right.
package. So I have those notes in the house.
Appreciate all the time you spent on it.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
Very
that'll-
be
you can-
Mr.
you
Sister.
can have Natalie write the language.
cost, open
Fine.
bids, if they, I suppose it'd be part of
So that
the-
doesn't require a
That's
vote,
what it is.
nothing.
No.
We do.
We don't have
Well,
any
we
new
move forward.
business.
I actually have a question, something that's
A fault
I
zone.
probably shouldn't bring it up, but road standards.
Table, we shake
Our
it.
road standards, we have 2 different types of road standards. I'm not sure where the actual people responsible for it, but we're definitely the people that use it. And Andy brought up like a couple meetings ago, like the road review committee technically doesn't have any authority.
According to the charter, from what I saw. in the
Yeah, so I mean, so then who's responsible for the road standards then besides either the road commissioner or what? But I mean, is that something we should be tackling and try to combine or try to straighten out our...
They're
There may
working.
be some wisdom in waiting till July 1st, when you'll have a new Department of Public Works and
Okay.
Not only,
and typically that person handles that kind of work.
I don't see any issue, though. I think this board could recommend one standard.
My understanding is they're working on that, and I think that's what
I
Roger's
tried
saying. That they're working on combining the standards and that they're gonna present that to us.
Okay, good. All
So I
right.
think it's in the works.
Would you like Tina or I to try to track down Roger, find out when that timeline is?
And confirm that,
And then that way you know
Yeah.
a deliverable forthcoming.
Because that's always been an issue whenever we get site. You know, we have two different standards that we're looking at, and
You can't go to Canada.
Andy, isn't that what we beat
Can't
to
let-
death a while
You can't
ago?
go to Canada.
That's what I got into when I first got here.
And the reason there's two different standards is because it covers condominiums and
Exactly.
so if you're building a condo complex, you're not building a 24-foot wide road, you're building a 20-foot road. Right? So they have a 20-foot road standard.
And then,
They have an 18-foot road standard, they have a 22-foot road standard. So we have 4 different road standards.
and not,
But yet the ordinance in the subdivision plan says all roads have to be 24 feet wide
Right.
in a subdivision. But then in the road standard paperwork, you have arterial collector, you
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
major, you have minor.
and not to
you
mention
know,
my all-time
they're all
favorite,
different- they're
never
all
gonna be
different
accepted
standards.
by the
That's
town.
where the conflict comes in. But when you're talking about subdivision, what we're doing most, coming in front of the board, it's mostly gonna be subdivision, it's mostly gonna be 24 feet wide, and we're using the subdivision standard, which is the same standard as in the road review committee for 24. The only problem is that in the road standard ordinance, it says that if you have less than so many cars per day,
then
you
you have
don't
to.
have to build a 24-foot
Right.
road, you have to build a 20-foot road or an 18-foot road.
Well, I
But
think
the last ordinance that was changed was the subdivision ordinance, and that would take precedent over the older road
You know,
review ordinance.
very
That's the way
impressive,
I
Andy.
think that all works out.
Well, that's his business.
Well, that's what with Hudson we discussed over and over and over again is,
Yeah, it's my understanding they're working on that.
Okay.
Hopefully they'll have something.
So that'll.
But isn't that where we got in a mess before?
Yes.
When we did Meadowbrook, because we started
Yeah.
with a little narrow
Yep.
road, because there
Well,
was
to-
only gonna be 6 houses.
Brookside Drive is 24
That's what I'm
feet.
saying, Brookside.
Brookside
To
Drive is
me,
24
it
feet all
doesn't-
the time, and it still is 24 feet, I've measured, I don't know how many times.
I don't
And
know why,
Meadowbrook Drive is,
yeah, I was
if
under the
anything,
impression
Deering
that
Ridge
some
Road
of the-
doesn't meet the standard, Deering Ridge Road is 20 feet.
Right, the
Well,
old
that's why we
roads
get
are the
beat
ones
to
that are
death
gonna be
by
in
all,
trouble. and not the
regularly,
new
as you
ones.
go, well, wait
It
a
doesn't
minute.
make any sense to have these 4 or 5 different
No.
things. I don't care if there's only 2 cars over it. I mean, 20 years from now, there could be a huge subdivision or something else.
Thank you, Dave.
And I think all roads should be 24 feet wide.
Yeah.
Especially if you got to drive a pickup truck and you're going down an 18-foot road, and another pickup truck's coming at you. It's not a fun experience.
Or a
What we
logging
could work
truck.
on,
Sorry,
on
but it-
is fire roads,
Is this what I got?
second access roads.
Yeah.
What
Well, we don't have any of those.
that really should be.
Something near and dear to his heart.
Because
Okay,
we have
so-
2 subdivisions that I know of. There's one up by Lake Arrowhead, up on New Dam Road. Is it New Dam Road?
Well, Huff Lane.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that has a back fire road access. There was also the one when Mark McCollum came in front of Green Court.
Yeah.
That was having a fire access road. I have my subdivision, Meadowbrook, that has a fire access road. And all 3 of these have a different standard, depending on the mood of the day.
Right.
You want to put that on the agenda?
The mood of
Yeah, I
the
think
day.
we should.
We're gonna call that the
yeah,
mood of
you're
the
not
day
on
ordinance.
cistern committee anymore.
You're on fire access
Fire road
road.
standard
I'm not
committee.
adding that one.
What a glutton for punishment, huh? So we'll add that to our agenda? Thanks.
Oh, man, you guys are killing me.
And you're gonna add. You guys are gonna draft something to just the road commission, just asking for their update
Yeah.
on where they are.
You may even invite them to a meeting sometime
We
this winter.
did that and we just haven't.
Nobody
shows up.
Well, they were gonna meet with us in November and then they sent an email and said, no, they couldn't make it.
All we need is
That's
just
all
that they
right.
send us a. We're just asking about if there's
Well,
if
this
they're
is a
working.
very slow time for them. I don't see any reason why they couldn't come in February or January or something.
Well, we just need the paper. I mean,
Yeah.
they give us something.
The greatest benefit is to have them here in person, invite them to a February meeting, set a time, and say, can you meet at our workshop meeting in the 3rd week of February? Otherwise, it
What
may-
days did they meet, Tom?
typically
Wednesday, they meet on the same day we do. I
Yeah.
think they start at 6 though.
Oh, okay.
And so, you know, if you could meet them halfway, have a, maybe a little bit earlier winter meeting with
When they
them,
meet on over that side.
just dedicate it to that.
Or we could start our meeting with them and come over here at 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
It has to get on somebody's agenda so that
Yeah.
it moves forward.
And I mean,
And
if
you
they're
don't
not addressing it, I think we should knock it out. I mean, if they're addressing it, then we let them keep running on it.
Yeah.
I think that's basically what they said in November, is that they were working on it and they weren't really ready yet.
All right. In November, like a month ago,
But that
November? Or
they would-
November? Okay.
They would be sending us something though.
It helps, I feel, whenever Committee X is working on something, but they're really not really doing a hell of a lot. It helps when Committee Y asks a question, says we want to look at this.
For the same reason, it's slow now, and
Yeah.
I
Ask the
mean,
question, set a date in February or March. If you don't, we found on 2020, if we don't set timelines, things get passed on a little bit longer. Now we set timelines on everything, and things are getting done.
all indications are building next year is, going. So, I mean, we're going to start seeing subdivisions. Maybe we've got a couple more years here in Waterboro, but it's coming.
Yeah, good. What do you think of that as an option, of meeting them at 6 and then coming over here for our meeting?
This time of year, it's dark at 4:07, so
I mean, I'm thinking mainly of you, if you can make
yeah,
it.
it's hard to work after.
Yeah.
I don't know, what's the legalities of having a planning board meeting someplace else?
That's a good question.
As long
We can
as-
invite them to the nice room.
As long as
They don't-
they're notified, we send
It's
out.
on the agenda.
Yeah, as long as you post
We
it.
can invite them to the nice room.
Is that too early for you? No? Well, at least run that by them, it's an
Okay.
option.
The option being, do you want to pick a month and a date, or?
What's
I think otherwise
Oh,
it'll-
we're not having a January 1st meeting.
What do we got on the
Well,
agenda
if
for
there's
the
some space
13th?
after the
Uh,
holiday.
Are they meeting on exactly the same days as us?
What's their meeting on the 15th or the 22nd?
The next meeting's on January 15th,
15th.
and Carpenter Estates is on that.
We could at least offer, ask them if they'd like to do that. If not, then we could schedule a
I was gonna
workshop.
say, you think we'd be crowding them on the 15th? We should push it back.
Well,
We
just
met
kind
at
of an
6:30.
update. to
We
see
met
if
them at 6:30 or something like that. Then we're halfway between us and them.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, but they already got the Carpenter Estate business to deal with, so.
Yeah, maybe that's.
That's what I'm saying, is that's what I meant by crowding, and maybe we could,
Let's start
if
with
we
the
look at
Carpenter, we
29th.
have it in sidewalk.
On the, well, not really stock. I mean, I still asked, on the Carpenter Estate, just to bring everybody in the loop, I haven't been up there in the last week, but Fran, prior to the first snowstorm, I believe, went up and staked and flagged. So you should be able to
They are.
just, drive down the road and
you can see
see
everything.
at least the backdrop of the building envelopes, which is the most important thing to see
They're
right
gonna
now.
take out the killer stone wall.
And, speaking about drainage, Mr. Foglio and the surveyor are hopefully going to get together. Fran made 3 different attempts, Doug made a couple of attempts, and I saw him a couple days ago, and Doug said he was going to make an effort to get together with her. Because that's a critical piece on the drainage easements.
All right. Where's it leave us?
Andy, were there other things that concern you that would prohibit moving ahead on if the applicant wanted to come forward?
Carpenters?
Yes.
Should we be discussing this? I know last time you said
Yeah.
we should be discussing,
I'm not sure we should discuss this.
because there are other issues.
As long as it's just procedural.
Yeah, it's procedural and it's a public meeting.
If you're not talking about whether you will.
You're not making any
approve the
decisions.
findings,
Bond
You're just
check.
saying,
The only thing I would say is I'm gonna have a hard time granting waivers if I can't see what I'm waiving.
Oh, they-
That's
I can't
the
get
only
involved
position I
with this.
have. I wanna do a sidewalk so I can see. And I know there's a brook going across there, I know there's a pond in there. I don't know where the wetlands are, they're asking for waivers and all this stuff.
well, they need to supply the information that they said they were gonna supply when they submitted the waivers.
I can't be
They've done some delineation work that you have on maps. I believe also they have all the test, has the test pit information come in? Tina?
Test pits are all way forward and all that wetland
They're
comes.
marked on the plan, but I haven't seen them. I haven't
Data.
seen the data, right.
Yeah, the test pits though are up by the building envelopes,
Yes.
and those wetlands are
Way in the back.
way in the back.
And one of our members has pointed out, that's not here tonight, that by definition, you could consider those lots spaghetti lots. Because there's been a change where they've added brooks. Because at first I thought it was just shorefront, but now brooks have been added to that.
But see,
And-
we have to make sure that the brook that's there is classified as,
A brook.
meets the
Exactly, and there's a
definition.
definition for that.
Brook,
And
stream,
the
or-
state's definition is a 6-month brook out of the year. I mean, this, from what the maps I've seen, that brook is a solid line on the maps. So is that a brook? And if so, that makes them
You know,
spin
who needs, does Al Frick make that determination when he does a
or
wetland
USGS,
delineation?
I don't know. That's
Yeah,
just
they'll
a-
do the class,
but that is
classification
gonna
of
come
it.
up.
It is. And I think, you know,
We
these
haven't
are
seen
all
any of that data.
questions. That's why this conversation is good. You're not making any decisions. You're just determining procedure. Part of your procedure is to pose all those questions to Fran and the applicant. Say, go back and do your homework. And when you're ready to deliver that, we can move to the next step and address the waivers. So at least you know which ones they're asking for.
I think the waivers are so that they don't have to address it.
Yeah.
Well, they also have to defend it. They can't defend it with a one sentence, you know, well, we don't think we need it.
Yeah.
And that's where the board comes in and poses those questions to the applicant or their engineers, surveyors, you know, defend why you want this waiver. Okay, and do you have additional information? So the last time Fran said, well, we'll create the building envelopes and we'll keep everything away from all the wetlands, away from all that, and we'll be confined by restriction, which would be a deed restriction, to build within those envelopes.
I guess my question is, I sent an email out on it, but why, we have this, 12, 15 acre lot, and you're building, basically, well, those are so narrow, you're in line sight of everybody, you're basically, it's not a huge envelope.
It's like a little village.
Why couldn't I build in the back of that lot? I guess that's the question is why are we dictating where the houses are? I think one of the points,
You know, on Waterboro, I forget what it's called, but they built all these houses that look the same, and they're all the Weber Estates,
Yeah.
I guess. There's one house where the original road was that's set back, but the rest of them, they're all right,
In the
In a
same
line.
line, yeah.
and they all look alike.
I guess
So I
if
guess
I'm
that's
buying a 12-acre
none of our
lot, I would
business.
try to go as far out of sight of my neighbor as I could. And if I can afford a 3-mile long drive or 3,000 foot long driveway, it's always going to be mine. It's never going to be a town road.
As long as it's not a town road.
Right, so I guess I'm looking at why, I forget why we want.
I think the reason it was brought up, I had mentioned to them that if you want waivers on all these wetlands and all this stuff, you have to be building, not the whole thing.
Yeah.
Back in
Because
the
they can't go out and do a
Can't
8-lot
disturb
subdivision
the-
and waive everything and let them build any way they want, because now you're setting a real bad standard for everybody in the future. Well, you did it here, you did it there.
I mean, the northern lot is
So it's a
really.
decision they're making, whether they want to build on the entire lot and go through the process as dictated in the subdivision ordinance as to, okay, we're going to do high-intensity soil survey, we're going to do wetland study, we're going to do drainage study, but they want to waive all these studies. So if you want to waive all these studies, we don't want anything happening out back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the only reason they're doing it. I mean, they've just
Yeah,
limited
to me,
their
that makes-
audience.
To me, that made sense.
They've limited their audience, but that's an applicant's prerogative.
Right.
To, if they want to delimit it and say build within these windows, they're doing it for precise reasons, so they don't have to do hydrologic studies.
Some people would like that.
Are we gonna?
It's something-
Is they gonna come back to us later on, like a
They'd have to
shared
divide us in
driveways?
subdivision, if they want to come back and.
Yeah.
I think we
Because-
need to be careful what kind of language we attach to the building envelope, because the code officer at some point is gonna have to figure out that this is the only place a structure can be placed. Is
And
that
what
what
about
we're saying?
accessory
Or is it
buildings?
just a building that needs a septic system? Like if somebody wants to build a barn way down the back,
Yeah, like,
is that still okay?
What was it, Dolbeck? With that accessory structure that he wanted to put on. I mean, if you have a 15-acre lot, he could technically put a shop all the way out back and never have an outhouse on it.
But that northern lot, I mean, it looks like you can't do it anyway.
Yeah, you'd be cross. Yeah, I don't know how you could
But
cross
the next
that
two
far.
down, the bottom one is a wide open.
Yeah, it's
And the next one has enough room to put a driveway back there if they wanted to.
right.
I think the difference here is that they're coming in, they're asking for waivers like on the wetlands and on the topo and all this stuff, right? Now, if you have an approved subdivision and you have lots that are so big, when somebody comes into the town hall and wants a building permit, you can look at that subdivision plan, you can say, okay, there's wetlands here, there's wetlands. So the code enforcement officer can look at it and say, okay, well, that seems like it meets what we have on the approved plan here. you know, that it's not gonna be in the wetlands or anything. If you waive all the wetlands, then conceivably, somebody could have an approved subdivision, build a house right in the middle of the bloody wetlands.
Right.
If you don't have control over where the wetlands are. So, the reason it was brought up is that if the whole thing is a building envelope, I'm gonna have a hard time giving you a variance if you don't do a waiver, if you don't do all the work. But if you're gonna just limit to a smaller window, then maybe that could be waived out back.
Yeah, but I think it's like Tina said, that small window is everything. There
Yes,
is
I
no,
think- yeah, I
there
think-
is no development
Yes,
outside of the building
yes,
envelope.
I think because we don't know anything about that.
Right.
Because they're not having them do anything to it.
We're assuming those are the standards they want to waive.
Yeah, in any case, you bring up a good point, and there'd have to be a notation on the final plan if this is inclusive of accessory structures. So if it's principal and accessory within the envelope, or is it just the principal building within? Someone wants to build a shed.
Or a barn.
And
or
they've
a
got
workshop.
15 acres of land.
You've got a farm with animals and,
But, you you
Manure
can
and
always
stuff,
put that
you
in
don't
your
want that.
conditions of approval in your final plan.
Okay.
You know, if there's to be any other structures, accessory or principal added to this lot, okay? So, but it's a good thought though. You know, and then to make it easy, you could just say all structures, principal and accessory, are
Or
within
maybe
that.
they could expand their envelopes a little bit with that in mind.
In any case, the developer will have to have some deed restrictions that speak to that envelope. And then for clarification, because this is where it gets a little delicate, whoever is CEO needs to have those envelopes defined on site. Otherwise, remember, it was about a year and a half ago, last November, December, Stonewall Estates. People built into the
Yeah.
setback limits.
Did you have anything else tonight?
Let's see, that pretty well covers it. I think
Anybody
we've
else?
covered everything that we need to. Is the board okay with having a presentation by the applicant
For the 15th?
Yeah, for the 15th. They would like to come in, and at least you can have a conversation about the waivers and pose as many questions as you need. They have to defend the waiver.
So is that not even at like preliminary planning?
It still would be
It's still
between the
sketch,
two.
sketch,
It'd be
yeah.
sketch plan, discussion of waivers. She actually, I think, unfolded those a little bit prematurely, but at the same time, you don't want to have an applicant proceed ahead with preliminary plans if the board decides
There's
to
still
grant any of
questions.
those.
I mean, I'm fine with it. Anybody else feel like talking
They
to
can
it?
come as many times as they want.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
open
I
it
get
up.
paid $25.
Racking in the bucks.
So we'll keep that appointment on the 15th.
Supports my Dunkin' Donuts habit.
What are you gonna get a supplement your $1 million house for $24?
Heck, the way Dunkin' Donuts is going, this isn't even going to pay for my Dunkin' Donuts habit.
No kidding.
Anything else? Anybody? Dave?
No?
Tina?
No?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Dwayne. No discussion. Seconded by Andy. All in favor?
Everybody have a good Christmas.
Thank